Briefly again, I think for the benefit of those who may be here for the first time, I have been a Christian for the last 30 years. Have been a zealot for Jesus. And you could not outrun me, you could not outsmart me. I gave my life to the cause of Christ in 1986 on the 22nd of August, from being just a typical township boy in Port Elizabeth and a socialite, and then got exposed to Christian spirituality, the Pentecostal charismatic sector of the church. Now I'm a very impressionable somebody, like a sponge, I take things very easily and then run with whatever comes. So I quickly worked my way up the hierarchy of Christendom, and by 1989 I was running my own youth club, Christian youth club, and I was an informal sort of pastor, if you like. I was not ordained, but by 1989 I was already, I had converted my mother's house into a youth club, if you like. It was a village of sort. And I think in 1989 I was convinced this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to spend my life making as many disciples for Jesus. That was, and I'm thankful because, coming from where I come from, I was very reckless. I come from a broken home. I needed a structure. So I have lived in that safe space for the last 30 years. It centered my life. I needed to, I needed some toning and some neutralizing. I was a very reckless person. I would have probably killed myself or killed somebody. I experimented with anything and everything that was available. Thank God there was not much, what is that big word in English, proliferation of drugs at the time. And otherwise I would have just, gone mad. So I think then the biggest mistake I made was to leave PE and come to Cape Town and pursue formal education, theological training. That was the biggest mistake. Otherwise, I was the next big TV evangelist, whatever thing you call it, I was the next TD Jakes. But I think I made a big mistake when I came to Cape Town. And I came to Cape Town in 92 at the heart of political, go back to 1989, the unbanning of the political parties. There is the release of Nelson Mandela in 1990, the assassination of Chris Hani in 1993. Now those are defining moments which transformed the climate, the political climate in the country. So to do theology in 1992, 93, 94 in that climate, it was very dangerous, particularly in the space where I found myself. This was an interdenominational space with professors who were very progressive. So then I got introduced to black theology, liberation theology, huge culture shock. I hope Upalo would bear with me. I laid this story in detail yesterday. So I, being a very impressionable somebody, once I had recovered from the culture shock, then the pendulum began to swing. From a typical apolitical follower of the American TV evangelist, the pendulum began to swing for me. Way past the center. I then studied the South American theologians, black liberation theologians, and of course, anything and everything that could. I began a journey in 1992, which had lasted for all of these years until the Good Friday of 2016. Because of course, those of you on social media, you would remember on that Good Friday, I penned an article which then denounced Christianity as a religion that's captured, and the God of the Bible as the God who is now already captured. Built my case, of course, to say I've tried all I could to bend the Bible, to bend Jesus, to make him as relevant as possible, to employ all the tools that are found within black liberation theology, and to follow models such as the Martin Luther Kings, the Archbishop Tutus, and I came to a place where I realized for myself that justice and Jesus are irreconcilable for black people. Yeah, you keep regulating yourself before you say what you just said, before you say, you're thinking, man, I'm going to lose heaven if I say that. So you live with this constant fear of losing heaven. You don't want to offend God. At the same time, you want to pursue justice, and you caught between love and justice. So for me, I think I tried all kinds of crazy things. I even preached a sermon that exploded literally. I remember BBC called me in 2009 when I said Jesus was HIV positive. We hosted conferences here that were entitled the Black Easter Conference. We invited people from the Contralesa, particular advocate, particular Olumisa, came here because we were asking questions: where does Christianity begin and end? Where does culture and customs begin and end? We had invited Masubuti Mangena, who was at the time the Minister of Science and Technology, but he was also the president of AZAPO, and so we had invited him. We wanted to have these conversations about issues of blackness. We experimented with all kinds of programs, developmental programs, relief programs in this community. Nobody can stand here in this community and say we never tried to be a relevant church. We made ourselves very controversial in our pursuit of justice and of truth. And I finally laid down my cross. Borrowed the words of Nietzsche, who says, God is dead. We have killed him. And so the next step then was to give the rest of whatever is left of my life to employing whatever other tools that are available and to contribute to the liberation of black people by any means necessary without being confined and limited by Christian spirituality. And of course, I still use the Bible. In fact, I will tell you now when I go into my story, Johannesburg, I use a lot of stories in the Bible to illustrate, some points. Because we live in a Christian space, a highly religious space. Even atheists, I say this quite often, even atheists in South Africa behave like Christians. That's how Christianity has permeated every aspect of our lives. It is a religion of conquest. It is embedded to conquest. It is not a neutral religious idea. It comes through the back of power, white power, and conquest. It becomes a mainstream religion because of conquest. So there's a context to every dominant idea in society. Tutu himself says it. He says, if I was born in India, I would have been a Hindu. Because the dominant ideas in India, religious ideas, are Hinduism. If I was born in Pakistan, Tutu says, I would have been a Muslim. Because the religious dominant ideas in Pakistan are Islam. But because I'm born in South Africa, the dominant religious ideas which come through conquest are Christian ideas. Now, I went around for 20 years saying I accepted Jesus. When in fact, it's for me, again, this is no insult, please, and it's don't mean any. I accept there are still Christians in this space, by the way, and we respect that. I'm just telling my own personal story, For me, I must now answer the question, but what does it all mean that I spent all of my life in Christian spirituality? Was I wrong when I had this, what seemed to be a very real experience in 1986. And I call it an epiphany today, which is a very deep experience that you can have, even outside of Christian spirituality. But in that context, we call it being born again. And it seems a very real, and in fact, probably, a very, very deep experience. When you come into the center of your life and you desire to be one with the universe, and you do not know how. But of course, the answer is given to you, and so you take that. And I think all of us come to that place in our lives when we desire to be one with the universe. And then it is presented to us in a particular way. You want to be at peace with yourself, with the world, with everything else. So all religions purport to answer that question. How to be at peace. So let me then perhaps quickly say that we have been experimenting now with this new way of organizing ourselves, and we call it, as we said earlier on, the Kilombo, which comes, of course, from the language in Angola, Kimbundu. Did I say that? Kimbundu is a language in Angola which expresses this idea of the Kilombo, and it touches on the slaves in Brazil who would then run away from the plantation, create themselves these safe, black liberated zones away from the plantation. So if you like, then this is a black liberated zone. It's a new way of organizing ourselves to imagine life outside of the ideas and the influences of the master and away from white people's ideas of us, ideas of the world, ideas of God. We want a space that allows us to meet ourselves outside of our captors. Of course, it is not a perfect space. It is already an infiltrated space. It is not, there was once an email that was circulating in many media houses. Somebody said, we know who's behind, fees must fall. There's this pastor, I was in his church and I heard him say this, and they were quoting words verbatim, So we know now the black spaces are infiltrated. But we seek to create liberated zones that will allow us to imagine a world away and outside of the influences of white people. We meet, and this is important for me to say, when we meet in this space, we do not meet first and foremost on the basis of shared ideas. I must emphasize this. We meet first and foremost on the basis of our shared, lived collective experience of blackness. Because that is not an ideology. Imivumba yethu. Sidibana ngemivumba. We can then from there, on that basis, that we are black and we suffer under the assault of whiteness, what does this really mean? How do we stop the war waged on us by white people? Once we have accepted that principle, then we can explore ideas. We will have to borrow from Pan-Africanism. We must borrow from black consciousness. We borrow from the emerging voices of black radical feminism that are critiquing some of these ideas now. And so we are in conversation, and of course, there are many contradictions. We have a red flag and a yellow flag and a green flag to try and assist ourselves to, to try and assist ourselves, because without that regulatory framework, the space can easily be collapsed. People get offended in what is being said, how it is being said, how the space is organized, who says what, so what we do so that the space is not collapsed. The only gift we have right now is the space. So we say, let's protect the space. If anybody in this space feels offended by something that's being said or done, they can always walk up and take the red flag and lift it up. And what is being done and said must come to a standstill. We must resolve that issue before we move on. If that person is graceful or gracious enough, they can raise a yellow flag to say, as an issue that I did not like was said or done, I would like us to go back to it at the end of this session. So they raise a yellow flag, If the green flag is up, then we know everybody is happy. We can continue with the conversation. In a nutshell, that's how we are seeking to develop a space in which we can find ourselves.